37th entry directly to you. That's right. This is 37th entry in our sometimes weekly podcast. Here on YouTube.com/ directly to you, Fanatics 4 podcasts. Yes. Happy to be back with you guys once again. For a consecutive amount, back again. Second time in a row. We're going to keep adding this number up. And anyways, you can find this podcast anywhere podcast services are available. That's iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, a whole bunch, Spotify. And if you guys would like to donate to the podcast, you guys are free to do so. We helped launch the listener support program a while ago. And if you guys want to help donate, you can do so anywhere between $1 to $10. Don't feel you have to go crazy. But if you want to help out, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you guys so much, and we appreciate you guys joining us. And I think AJ's here.
Yes, hi, hello. I didn't want to interrupt the spiel for once. Usually I jump in and say whatever nonsense. This time is different, Logan. This is a special show.
This is special. This is actually a special episode because we're back again. But
it actually is weekly right now. It's directly to use a weekly podcast again. Exactly. Knock on wood.
Yeah, exactly. So what's new? What's new before we get into everything? All the other main related stuff. What's going on?
So some people are going to hate me for this, but I've been playing 3DS. And
how dare you?
I know it's blasphemous, but you know what? When you like I told Grimhane, you don't look a gift Nintendo in the mouth. When Nintendo provides product, you got to check it out. You know what I mean? So product provided by Nintendo, but I've been playing Luigi's Mansion, and they changed a lot more about this game than I thought they would. And
That's good.
The thing that's weird and kind of annoying is that they seem to have changed the engine from Dark Moon. So the excuse that everybody had when we're like, put Luigi's Mansion on Switch too, like put them on both of the consoles if you're gonna do it. And everybody's like, well, they already have all the assets and the engine and stuff like that from Dark Moon. No. These are all new assets, all new engine. But even outside of that, they added a lot of new stuff from the original Luigi's Mansion, like that wasn't in that game, into this game. Obviously, about like the co-op mode and the Guigi and all that stuff.
Right.
But there's some additional like challenges, and like the structure's a little different, and there's like some different stuff in this game. It's fun. I do agree with what a lot of people were saying about like how they're like, oh, it's more of a like a handheld, like a game that is specifically good for that platform, because Luigi's Mansion is not exactly like the longest game in the world. Like you could clear through Luigi's Mansion in a couple hours.
Yeah,
I think that's a stupid reason to not have it on Switch, because Switch is also portable, but I digress. Luigi's Mansion is still a good game. I just wish that it wasn't tethered to 3DS.
Yeah, that sucks. But luckily, we're getting that Luigi's Mansion 3 2019. It's going to be a good year. As far as me, I haven't really been playing much. Like just some indie stuff. Super Mario Party here and there. Not from my console because I did not buy it. But, it's pretty good. But other than that, nothing much.
I've been playing Super Mario Party as well. I told people I was going to keep playing it after I made that video, and it's a fun game. I like it. Yeah. But there's problems, and I wish those problems weren't there. But
it's a good starting point to to go off of, and I think the next games will be a lot better.
Yeah. I wonder when we'll get those, because like when Mario Party was Mario Party, we used to get Mario Party like every year, if not like every other year.
Yeah.
But now it's like, we don't really get Mario Party games.
Well, at least we know in relation to Mario Party, it's like we're being listened to as far as, like the fans like, okay, this card thing sucks. We don't like this. Then we're going back to, the traditional what made Mario Party so fun to begin with. Now, hopefully they're listening like, okay, these stages are way too small, or something like that. We go back to the next game. They're like, they have like a varying amount of like as far as
it's kind of like I think the problem with Luigi's Mansion and a lot of like Nintendo games overall right now is that they still have a lot of their like mindset on the Wii, you know, where it's like their whole approach there was like everybody can be a gamer, and to make everybody a gamer you got to make it as approachable as possible, you know. So that, I mean, I think that's why, because it's kind of a holdover from that ideal or that ideology of like, we got to make these games like more streamlined and stuff like that. So smaller boards means it's more simple and it's easier to get from point A to point B, and nobody understands any more than any other player, so they don't inherently have a heads up on anybody else.
Yeah, that makes.
Because like if there's like all these like secret ins and outs of the board of like, oh, if you just go down this route, then you're gonna block. You know, if they have stuff like that, and then it'll be obviously the more like hardcore players are gonna like not win, you know, because Mario Party still has the like, you know, the gotcha moment of like, it's the end of the thing. Here's 3 stars to the dude that did nothing, you know, like that is still a possibility. Yeah. But in the like while you're playing, you know, it's not fun to lose at Mario Party, you know, like, and it's not fun to lose at Mario Party at that gotcha moment either, but obviously you spend more time in that like mid-game loss moment of like, everybody else is getting all the stars and all I'm getting is negative coin rolls. I mean, negative coin rolls and red spaces, you know, it's like like crap like that. It doesn't feel good. So I think that they're trying to mitigate that a little bit. It's not really working, but I think that's their mindset behind it.
And yeah, I think that'll you know, smooth itself out. But you know what series it doesn't need smoothed out? Pokemon. It's gonna have a great year to close off this year.
How dare you?
And it's gonna have a great year next year.
How dare you?
How dare I what?
How dare you say Pokemon Let's Go is gonna be
anything less than
anything less than the worst thing to ever happen to us ever. How dare you? So,
Pokemon's been successful for its entire existence.
Yes.
But will it continue to be successful in the future? And that brings us to our next topic, the future of Pokemon. And specifically going into this comment here, Jordan DeBest says, could the naysayers be right about Pokemon Let's Go? Is it a huge step back, or is it a silly distraction appetizer until the next year's game?
I think that I was thinking, you know, when I do these whole like brainstorm things of like, what are we going to talk about? And I'm like, Masuda said a lot of crap about Pokemon. We got to talk about Pokemon like that. I mean, it just has to happen. And then I looked back at some of the Q&A stuff that we had from like past weeks and stuff like that. And I think this was from last week, or maybe it was in the comments. I don't remember. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good thing to touch on. And it ties in well with a lot of stuff that he said, because he did talk a lot about not only like, what Let's Go will be that we didn't already know, but also what Let's Go is that will continue to be a factor in Pokemon moving on, or potentially a factor as Pokemon moves on, depending on the success of this game. And I mean, just at first glance, I don't think that this game will make waves in either way, you know? Like, a lot of hardcore Pokemon fans are like, oh, this is going to be the worst thing ever, right? And like, I also don't think the opposite of like, oh, this is gonna, you know, like, this is gonna be way better than any other Pokemon game.
Yeah, it's not gonna be groundbreaking, and it's not gonna freaking change the landscape. This is you know, 20 million out there, you know, it's not gonna be good.
Yeah, exactly. I'm also not dumb. So it's like, the fact that this is a Pokemon game, it's going to do well. It's going to do well. Like, despite how every naysayer is like, oh, it's not a Pokemon game, it's not what I came to Pokemon for, it's going to sell well. It's going to be a 1 million+ seller. It's going to sell millions and millions of copies and millions of Switches. Obviously not more than Pokemon 2019, but duh, you know, like, Pokemon Let's Go is obviously the game of like, man, we wanted to do a lot more with Pokemon like on Switch than we thought we did, so we need more time. But also, we did promise a Pokemon game in 2018, plus we had this Pokemon Go thing that's really taken off. maybe we take those two needs and combine them together and release a game, you know, like that sort of situation.
Right.
Plus, you know, like,
and it's gonna pay off greatly. This is gonna be awesome.
Right. And I've been saying, like, even before we knew what Pokemon on Switch was going to be, like, Pokemon needed something different. You know, like, it's been the same game for far too long. And this is coming from somebody that, like, this is my favorite franchise, period. You know, bar none. So, I mean, it's a welcome thing for me, because it is, regardless of if it's exactly what I would have did with Pokemon, it's at least different. And I'm down with that. But
that's true.
Let's get into some of the stuff that Masuda talked about more specifically.
All right, so I found it interesting, you know, talking, bringing up after game content, or, you know, end game post game content,
right.
Whatever. Master trainers, which is you know, which is really unique. You know, they specialize in one Pokemon.
Yeah,
and they have like this a true challenge. You know, it's like it's not going to be any easy thing to pull off, and you know they might come out of nowhere with a crazy attack that's like super effective to you. So it's you know, it's exciting.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to go in like a weird direction with it though, because like almost like Smash Brothers, right? Where you put in an amiibo and you train it up to a certain point, and then it like starts to get these weird buffs. Regardless if you give them the buff or not, they have like things that are physically impossible. You know, like no lag on their attacks at a certain, you know, like that sort of thing. I wonder if they're going to do that, or if they're just going to like make this Pokemon like the ideally trained version of this Pokemon, and then you have to figure out how to beat it. And then I also wonder if it'll really mean that like your Pokemon, I think if a well-rounded Pokemon is able to beat that version of the Pokemon, it'll be a better test of like how good of a trainer you are than it would be if you had to make a Pokemon specific, because they're mirror matches. Like you can't use a different Pokemon.
Right.
So it would be better if, rather than saying like, okay, what's the best Charizard that can beat Charizard?
Right,
it's
exactly.
What is the best possible Charizard, and have that be able to win.
It's like because like at the end, and that is like just feel more rewarding anyways. Like once you do pull off a victory, it's like, okay, well, you know, I had to strategize for that. I had to think my way through this, you know, and that would just feel good, rather than, okay, I'm purposely trying to create this, you know, knowing I have to fight this guy with this Charizard or whatever, and like, you know, it's better to like you said, better to be all around than having like specifically I can't even talk, specifically craft a certain Pokemon to beat, you know, these master trainers.
Right. And this specifically, like when they announced this, I was like, whoa, like what else don't we know about this game? Because there was no like inclination of this happening, you know, like I did not think in any way, shape, or form that we would have like this big new post game thing. I thought if anything, it would be like the Battle Tower's back, or Battle Frontier, you know, like stuff like that, or Sevi Islands, stuff that we've already seen. So to have them like throw something like this out of nowhere has me thinking like maybe we have more stuff.
They and that's the cool part about it. They introduced new, just the game entirely, and then brought more new at the end. You know, it's like not any okay, let's bring new and just rehash at the end. You know, that's cool. That's really cool. Was also so I mean apart from that, the master training, which I think is cool. You know, to get the what is it? You get the master
the master title of
that
master
Pokemon. Title, yeah.
That's
cool.
I don't know how many people address you as that, but like Nurse Joy specifically, they showed that they're like, oh hi, Master the Venusaur trainer or whatever, which that's is dope. Yeah. I mean, and it's not the first time that Nurse Joy like addresses you in a weird way, because like when your Pokemon has Pokerust, she's like, oh whoa, like your Pokemon is blah blah blah, like something's wrong with your Pokemon, or this is strange, that sort of thing. So I don't know if they meant for that to be like kind of like a callback in a weird way to that. But I did pick up on that they showed it in that way. I wonder if everybody that you talk to talks to you like that. Like, I wonder if your mom is going to be like,
yeah, right.
You're
That'd
a
be funny.
Charizard master now, you know? Like,
Yeah, that'd be funny.
I remember when I bought you your first Charizard toy, and now you're a Charizard master, you know?
It's like, wow, you're really growing up. You know, that's funny. Like, wow, this game is freaking realistic in this world. Okay, so they also talked about as far as what would you say to those players who are crying out for a bit more challenge, maybe adult players who have played these games for 20 years, who got into it a bit later? You know, Masuda goes on to say that the catch combo mechanic, which is awesome, which allows.
How dare you?
So you can catch the same Pokemon multiple times in a row to get various rewards for doing so.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are worried about this. A lot of people are worried about the change in the grind, because I talk a lot about how random encounters annoy the life out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody commented on my video this week. I think it was Christian. I think that's who commented on it. And he was talking about how it's basically just trading one grind for another, and he thinks this grind would be more annoying than that grind. And I think just on even if that's the case, because again, it's the same way as it's been in other games. It's just you're catching instead of trading. And I think just for me, having it be mechanical, like have it be something that you're actually like engaged in rather than just tapping a button and that's all you're doing. Mm-hmm. I think that's less monotonous than just tapping a button and seeing the exact same thing all the time,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also I think that it's less annoying in that way, because the only time that you're forced to have to do that is if you want to EV train. And EV training outside of super training, which we still don't know how that plays into this game, is usually no matter what you do, it's going to be a monotonous, annoying process. And it's kind of hard to complain about that outside of, like I said, super training, because it's always been like that. And
right.
Other than super training, it'll probably always have to be like that. Granted, there's ways to do it faster. You can go and buy I'm going to max it out in attack and special attacks. I'm just going to go buy the vitamins or whatever, right? You buy Carbos and all that stuff. So that gets you up to a certain point, and then it's just okay, now I just have to clean up those last few EVs by doing some battles, or in this case, catching. The other thing that I think could be useful in this way is that you don't have to do any shenanigans or any experience share or anything like that to transfer those EVs to the other Pokemon in your party. So say you want to have 4 Pokemon with maxed out speed EVs. You take your other Pokemon and you drop them all off in the PC, and then you just take the Pokemon that you want that specific stat, and then you go through and you grind the speed EVs, and then you're done.
Yeah.
Versus in the other games where it's you got to get all these braces and experience shares and stuff like that to make that happen. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it is trading one grind for another, but I think that this game in particular has that in mind. It's looking at the fact that okay, Pokemon games are grindy and annoying for a huge portion, especially newer players of the audience. Right. So let's try to mitigate that and make the process of playing the game as optional as possible. Do I want to battle this trainer? Yeah, I'll battle this trainer. Do I want to battle wild Pokemon? Yeah, I'll battle this wild Pokemon.
Right. Yes, I see this all doing really well. Honestly, it's and I feel like people are going to jump on, even the people that are like, no, this is stupid. The people that are, apprehensive at first. I feel like they're gonna, it's gonna win them over. They're gonna get won over.
So for you, somebody that's less of a hardcore Pokemon fan, you like Pokemon fine, but you're not chomping at the bit for the next Pokemon game.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this game? Are you less or more excited for it than you would be a more traditional game? Do you like these changes at all?
I mean, I do. I think I wouldn't necessarily say more as far as but I'm definitely excited. I think the changes are nice, and for somebody like me who's I wasn't really deep into the old, system of the way things are done. Anyways, I didn't get like too deep. So seeing this, it feels realistic in the sense of like what the world of like Pokemon is. It feels more true to life to the series and just the show and things like that. I just feel like it's interesting. I'm welcome to this change, but then again, coming from me, it's like
honestly, coming from you, I think your perspective is more important than you think it is, because you're more so on the side of like who this game is for, coming from you, it's not going to like make the people that are infuriated by this game's existence feel any better about it, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, your opinion matters to Pokemon, because they want the fans that's like that kind of dipped their toe in at one point in time, but then eventually like teetered off and didn't really like care as much as they did once upon a time.
Yeah, and that's another thing that this could open like a whole different like type of fan base for like just like I only like the Let's Go games, and that could like turn into a thing,
right.
Because these games aren't the same and they have these differences. Somebody could honestly prefer these type of mechanics over the traditional standard what we've been getting for so long,
right?
And I think that'd be interesting to see as well.
Right, and Masuda talked about that in another one of these articles that we pulled up, saying that there's a possibility that we could get Johto in the event that these games do well. And I think I mentioned that in one of the videos that I did about this game, where it's like I think that they're going to do like like the B tier Pokemon game, where it's like on the tick year we'll get Pokemon Let's Go. Like that's the thing of like, here's the new generation, here's like it's like a light introduction to like certain mechanics in that generation and stuff like that, and then the talk will be like, here's the like hardcore version of that, where it's like some of the innovations that are introduced in Let's Go are in there, but here's the hardcore version of that too,
right,
it's like
right.
Stuff like that. And just him kind of talking about it, I think we'll probably get it, and I think that could mean good things for even hardcore fans, where it's like a lot of hardcore fans want more Mega Evolutions. I think we'll most likely get more Johto specific Mega Evolutions, and once they get to Hoenn and Sinnoh and so on and so forth, I think that's how they'll fill in those holes. Because with Gen 8, I'd rather them be more focused on new Pokemon. And then for the Let's Go games, that's how we clean up the like, let's get Lapras a pre-evolution, even though it's too late for that because we're already in Gen 1. But like stuff like that.
Yeah. I guess, and you kind of brought it up as well, as far as the main line or the core Pokemon games. Pokemon Let's Go possibly rolling over into 2019, as far as being able to use the older Pokemon from.
I think this specifically is talking about the 2019 game.
Oh, okay.
So with a lot of people were like questioning, like, will we be able to transfer a Pokemon? How are we going to do that? And it's like, I mean, they kind of already told us that, like, we already know. We know that we'll be able to transfer a Pokemon in the next mainline game, because that's the whole reason why Pokemon Bank was invented. Like if it was a thing of like, we're just going to make this a 3DS specific thing and that's it, then there would be no point in doing it. Because like we already had the technology to transfer from DS to 3DS. We didn't need a whole app and like this whole like infrastructure built out to like hold all our Pokemon and stuff like that. Like the whole reason why Pokemon Bank exists is it's supposed to be this time capsule of like, you're always going to be able to keep these Pokemon now because they're now in the cloud and all that crap. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me too much. I don't really know why people are reporting on it, but hey, maybe it'll make some people feel warm and fuzzy inside when they thought that Pokemon Company turned their back and gave them the cold shoulder.
Yeah,
you got this nice kiss on the cheek.
Yeah, like, okay, all right. You know what? This is happy news for me. I'm good. I'm gonna get Pokemon Let's Go. Like if we could just do a 180.
This is all I needed. I just needed them to tell me that. Now I'm gonna get Let's Go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I think these are gonna be fantastic entries, and whether or not people are behind it, I think. So that's what I think's gonna happen. I think just the result from these games dropping, people are gonna be like, even if, like, you know what, people are talking about it. My friends are talking about it. Okay, I'm a freaking, and we're gonna see that.
Also, a lot of people are gonna like hate buy it.
Yeah.
Like, or even the Sonic game sort of situation where people buy those just to be like, look how bad this is.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's going to be a lot of purchases like that, which is going to be like antithetical to what they're trying to do, where it's like, I'm going to buy this game so I can hate on it on the internet. But all the Pokemon Company and Nintendo's going to see is like, oh, that's 3 million more copies. So,
yeah, right. Exactly. So.
Whatevs.
Yeah, so all that will not be a threat to Pokemon. But something that might be a threat to Pokemon, Yokai Watch 4. Or just Yokai Watch in general. We made a video about that this week. And I definitely like, I will say this. And I'm in the same camp you are. My experience with, well, actually, I think you've played more Yokai. You played Yokai.
Yeah, I played a little bit.
Yeah, I've not. So, but I think, so I'm just completely cold on this, but I will say the Yokai Watch 4 gameplay looks amazing, and I would definitely check that out because it looks.
I mean,
really
funnily
cool.
enough, you have more experience with than I do, right? You played Ni no Kuni,
right? Yeah.
And I like mess with it, like I owned the game, but I didn't like complete it or nothing like that, or come even close.
That's another thing. Level 5 is freaking. I just love their stuff. So. The fact that they're behind this as well. That's another thing. They're like, okay, you know what? This is. I'm gonna check this out. So.
Yeah, something that I kind of did expect it. I'm not even going to say I didn't expect it. Is there's a lot of Yokai Watch fans in the comments. Like that's most of the comments of like, I think Yokai Watch is better and blah, like in a bitter way, which is like, all right. I like Pokemon better, but you don't see me being like Yokai Watches, blah blah blah. It's like you're kind of doing a little bit too much there. But
definitely.
I don't know.
I think I'm honestly before you said in the video, I didn't even know the freaking Yokai Watch talked. Like that's how like I'm not in that realm at all. So like I was like, oh, they talk to. Like, okay, cool. I'm that cold to it, but
and I've always like I don't know. I just never really had that like tribal attitude towards things. So like when Pokemon was a thing, I watched Digimon and said like, okay, what do I like about this and what don't I like about it? I didn't immediately be like, I picked my side and I'm a Pokemon fan.
Right.
Like,
it's the whole mentality of like I can't be like Andor, I gotta be like, well, this is what I like, and the other thing that's opposite, I absolutely hate it because there are fun Digimon games, and just like I'm sure there are fun yokai games, but I just haven't.
Well, so far, gotta say, not a big fan of the Yokai Watch games as far as like gameplay wise. Like that, that was the biggest deterrent for me to like play the first one because like they had a demo because in America they're trying to do like this big rollout because they were trying to make it a thing. Didn't really work that well yet, but they gave a demo for this game, and it's like the mechanics in that game are meh. We're gonna get to that in a little bit because somebody got real passionate about yokai. But I don't know. And I give yokai credit because it is like a newer thing, right? Like Pokemon wasn't the Pokemon that we know now when in Gen 1. Like Gen 1 was trash too, as far as like structural integrity goes, as far as
that's another thing you gotta take into account. That is very true. That is very true. Like yes, it's great, but it has had time to get to this level, and that's very true.
Right. And again, to be fair, to kind of do the devil's advocate thing to the excuse that I just gave Yokai Watch, it also had like years to like learn from what Pokemon did wrong. But again,
that's true too.
On the other end of that spectrum, it's kind of the same thing that because a lot of people levy that against Nintendo with Switch Online. Like that whole thing where it's like Xbox had this right however many years ago, right?
Yeah.
I feel
like that's a. Like for the Switch, I'm like that's a bad example. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just because like obviously yokai doesn't have the experience that came with that, right? Like they don't have, just like Nintendo doesn't have Microsoft's R&D, you know, like they can't just go to Microsoft and be like, oh, teach us everything you know about internet infrastructure, you know, like, teach us how to build out, you know, cloud and stuff like, you know, like obviously they don't have the same experiences just because it existed in the world. It's like it's kind of like expecting us to be able to build a Nintendo IP because we played Nintendo IP all our lives, you know, like it's kind of all right, you're going too far there. But anyway,
speaking of going too far,
exactly.
Let's look at some of these comments. Doctor what Coelho? Can you pronounce that?
It's probably some Yokai Watch crap. I
don't know.
No,
some yokai text. Oh no, they go on to say, Pokemon has always been inferior as far as monster collecting RPGs go, with or without Yokai Watch. The monster collecting RPG was invented by Digital Devil Story Megami Tensei 9 years prior to Pokemon's existence. So Pokemon isn't original. What's more is that it stole a ton of its ideas, mechanics, and gameplay elements from Dragon Quest V, which also had monster collecting RPG elements 4 years prior to Pokemon. I'm told that if you play DQ5 next to Pokemon RBY Ruby, Pokemon ends up looking like a cheap bootleg in comparison. The only reason Pokemon got away with it was a ton of marketing and its riding on 90s nostalgia. In addition, Yokai Watch 3, Dragon Quest Monsters Joker 3...
Hold on. Pause. How? No, seriously. He said that the and I want to, you know, like we talked about before how we want to like pick out points that stick out to us early on so we don't forget the point, and like we just left at the end of the comment like I don't remember anything that you said, but all right. But yeah, how can Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow ride on nostalgia when it's the first games? That doesn't make any sense. Who has nostalgia for had nostalgia for Pokemon in 1996/1998 in America?
Right.
Like,
I loved this thing 2 years ago. No.
Yeah, exactly. Like, man, you know what? I know this just came out yesterday, but it feels like something I would love when I was even younger than I am now. You know. So anyway, continue.
Exactly. I'm told that if you play DQ5 next to Pokemon RBY, Pokemon ends up looking like a cheap bootleg in comparison. The only reason Pokemon got away with it was a ton of marketing and it's riding on 90s nostalgia. In addition to Yokai Watch 3, Dragon Quest Monsters Joker 3 Pro, and Shin Megami Tensei 4, Apocalypse offer far better gameplay and content compared to Pokemon's 3DS titles. Have you bothered actually looking through the monster count to find a design that appeals to you? I can tell you for one that Azure Dragon is a cool dude. Tons of people like I guess Vinact and QB, the Legends Golden Org. Gilgaris is a pretty also neat. People love Gleam for its golden samurai design. Beetle and Rhinoceros appeals to the.
We could skip this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying because
this part right here is stupid. It's like, have you even looked at these? I like them. So obviously there's something in here that you'll like, you know, it's like the only explanation is that you never looked. That's the only explanation for you not having a design that you like. You know, it's like, yeah, all right.
I hugely digress on the notion that Yokai Watch's battle system lacks depth. Yokai Watch 1 had a ton, and 2 added even more. You have to take into account in-spirit's buffs, in-spirit debuffs, tribe unity, soul gems, tanks, healers, and given that the competitive format for Yokai Watch makes it so your team starts the battle with empty soul meters. I have no idea what any of this is.
Basically, what that sounds to me like is what, like a third maybe of the complexity of Pokemon. Like he basically just said like there's attacks like Growl, you know, like stuff that has buffs, debuffs, you know. There's Pokemon that can attack together and like help each other, you know, helping hand, and you know, like the attacks that are like black and white that like combine together to like make a stronger attack, you know, stuff like that. Basic RPG crap, but trying to make it seem like it's this like super like entwined that like it's not anything on the level of like even EVs and IVs and breeding and stuff like that. Like you can't get in the weeds of yokai like that.
Right.
it's a simple game, like, and that's fine. But it's a simple game.
They go on to bash you and say, no, you have to make it so your team can be consistent without soulmates, or I guess salty mates, since you can't rely on them in the other world battles. What's more is that the competitive ban list limits you to 2 S ranks and 2 A ranks per team. So you can't just fill up your team with the best monsters, and it forces more team support compared to Pokemon. That just lets you battle random idiots whom have their league full of 6 box art legendaries.
See, this tells me that this just tells me that he's completely uninformed on the breadth of like Pokemon competitions and stuff like that. Because first of all, as far as I know, the only like rule set that allows you to use really any legendaries, other than like Landers for whatever reason. I don't understand why they let you use the Landers and Thunders and all that crap, but they don't let you use the quote box art legendaries in most formats other than like Ubers, and that's not even an official rule set. As far as like the thing of like, oh, they force you to use 2 of these and 2 of these and only blah blah, like that doesn't really tell me much about like how deep the game is. That just tells me that they couldn't balance their monsters overall, and therefore had to limit the ones that are super powerful or whatever. And that again, like you might want to check before you try to like bash somebody over their perceived opinions over something. I've criticized Pokemon for the same exact thing of, well, everybody has the same teams. They're not all legendaries, but they are like homogenous in a lot of ways. Like you'll find a Thundurus on everybody's team. You're going to find, like a Metagross, or like there's certain Pokemon that it's like you're gonna find in the meta that is just like, oh, this team is the same exact team as somebody else. Sometimes there's a curveball of like, I'm using a Pachirisu because that's the Pokemon I like and I'm gonna make it work. But generally it's built around the like the Gokus of the Pokemon world, right? Like it's either your Goku or your Vegeta.
The Mario's a Smash, or the whichever.
Well, I don't know about Mario. He's fine. But yeah, that comment, I appreciate it. I appreciate a yokai fan comment on the video.
Yeah, it's interesting getting that perspective. Like I live and breathe this. And that was cool.
But the problem with it is, it's like you come into it with an equal like predisposition to want to hate the thing, right? Like I'm very like upfront about the fact that I'm not like as informed on yokai as I am on Pokemon, but this guy is like,
oh, just like the tone in that the text is like, far as I'm like, yeah, it's far better than Pokemon has always been inferior.
Right, like he's it's like he's purporting to understand the both of them, and because he knows them both so well, he knows which one's better. He just picked his horse in a race, and therefore is like sticking by it because this and this. But I actively criticize Pokemon. I criticized Pokemon in that video even, and pointed out the with the limited amounts of things that I do know about yokai, I said which parts of yokai I like better than what's in Pokemon. So I don't know. I don't really, I respect the fact that he has the right to his opinion, but I don't think the opinion is constructive in any way, because it's just, my thing is better than your thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, let's go on and touch base with Chase Base.
God.
Chase _base. As a fan of both, Yokai Watch is very underrated, and Pokemon is too overrated. I'm gonna stop right there. What do you think about that?
I hate those terms because they're so self-important, like I don't think that says anything. That's just like, people like this thing more than I do, or people like it less than I do, and therefore that's wrong. I don't like that term. It's stupid. But yeah.
The battle system and designs and inspiration of the monsters are so fresh and brilliant. Every yokai affect the people, and so the world is more targeted around them. Not just a world with random monsters to encounter. Every yokai has a meaning, and they make that very clear. It's sad that there are people that claim yokai is a clone of bootleg Pokemon. The only thing similar is that they're an RPG collecting monsters. Some haven't even played the game, but just market but the market is overtaken by Pokemon that anything close to it is considered inferior. That's like calling Sonic.
Hold on. Well, you can continue with that because
that's like calling Sonic a clone of Mario. Okay.
So,
okay. All right.
The thing about what he just said is like there's merit to people being like Pokemon. I mean, Yokai is a clone of Pokemon. They look at the success that Pokemon had. I can guarantee you, Level 5 said, "Yo, Pokemon, that's still a really successful thing. Maybe we can have one of those." And then they went about it and did it. They differentiated themselves, but the basis of it is still like we want to recreate that Pokemon spark, and like a lot of the stuff that he said about like that, like every yokai has like a meaning in the world or something like that. Like a lot of that is true with Pokemon too. It's just, again, you're not as informed on a lot of the lore in Pokemon. Like there's a ton of stuff that even I am not like, I'm not super well versed on in the world of Pokemon, like the manga. Like just like a couple of days ago, Bob from the Wolf Den, if you're not already subscribed, go subscribe. He messaged me about like this article that he was reading, or like the rank this, click up or down and see if you think this is more or less than the other thing, Right. And it's like top messed up things that you see in the Pokemon manga, and there's like a lot of stuff that's like I never knew that. Like I never knew that they got that dark. Like people over here, well, I knew that people or Pokemon got like chopped in half in the manga and stuff. Like it's crazy. Not like in one of the like arcs. Yeah. In the manga, everybody gets turned to stone, and that's just it. It just ends like that. Like they save the day, and they're left turned to stone, and that's it. So it's like there's a lot of like different aspects of Pokemon that not everybody knows, and not everybody is going to know. And I think that that's going to happen with anything, but I think it's kind of disingenuous to claim that that's like a reason why, like because you're uninformed on the deeper aspects of Pokemon, that it's like they're just not there and yokai has them out in the open, right, so therefore it's better. Right.
There's meaning behind everything, you just like you said, you're more knowledgeable
like
about yokai. So
yokai's whole thing, like the reason why it like like it's literally called Yokai Watch. So it's like it puts its cultural influence on its sleeve. Whereas Pokemon, like there's Pokemon based off of yokai. There's Pokemon based off of all different types of mythology and like different things in this world, Right. That if you didn't do the deep dive, you don't know. But because yokai makes it obvious, then you're like, oh, this is there and that's not there in Pokemon, so obviously it's better. It's like,
Right. And
as far as like the Sonic thing, it's this, yeah, people saying that Sonic is a Mario clone, they're not completely without,
and it's kind of unfair to be like to feel sad as they said about well, I'm sad. I'm sad. Unfair to feel sad, but it's a weird way because like for people to say that Yokai Watch is a clone of Pokemon. I mean, Pokemon has had mindshare of this market for so long, and it's like it's not anyone's fault that just they don't do their necessary like due diligence as far as like going with a fine comb and digging through and finding out the different what makes this so different from Pokemon. It's not necessarily like their fault
because it's not
that,
it's nobody's responsibility to say, oh, this is similar to a thing that I like, let me look into this even though it doesn't appeal to me at face value, and see if it is quote unquote better than the thing that was appealing to me at face value.
Right. At the end of the day, yokai was without a doubt inspired by Pokemon. Without a doubt, you like anybody would be dumb. They're like, no, like it's like what?
Just like the Mario Sonic thing, like literally, like the dev of Sonic. I mean, yeah, Sonic. The thing that made him want to make Sonic was the fact that he used to like speed running Mario. Like that was a big part of Sonic's creation and why Sonic plays the way that it does. So it literally was a Mario clone. It just was what's a spin on Mario that we can make?
Right. Right. And like he's like, yeah, Mario's the old guy, Sonic's the cool guy. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just pick up from there. That's like calling Sonic a clone of Mario. Both are action platformers, but play entirely different, and both have their flaws and gems. They both serve a niche in the on the gaming scene, even though, like Mario, Pokemon is popular, but not all of its games, especially spin-offs, are great, like Mario Golf. No, I'm joking. Pokemon also devalued their brand with Let's Go. What? Anyway, they are targeting to children by making everything simple, and the graphics are subpar. Still chibi characters and no evolution such as voices. Well, Yokai did the opposite and took a friendly children's game and pulled a really dark and intriguing story. They recreated an already amazing literal turn-based battle system and made it a large-scale action space. They clearly weren't afraid to try something new, and as far as it looks amazingly graphically better than anything Game Freak. So you can go ahead and buy Let's Go, the same game from 1999 with a new style made for children that played an app, or you can buy a completely original RPG with an amazing story, graphics, new worlds, and monsters that actually evolve and have meaning over time. Yokai Watch.
Wouldn't say Yokai Watch graphics are amazing. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't even come close to saying that because they're not. I wouldn't say that has anything to do with the merits of the game.
I was just about to say, like, that doesn't even matter. But
yeah, it's like, oh, it doesn't have as good graphics, so therefore the game is like, we haven't played this game. You don't even know if you'll like the battle system of the game, you know? Yeah. Like back when I said like, oh, I want Pokemon to be like this, so many people were like, no, I don't ever want Pokemon to like have an action, blah blah, all this other stuff. I don't want it to change like this, you know. So it's like, yeah, darn if you do, darn if you don't. As far as like Yokai never ever going back and being childish and stuff like that, and it did the opposite. No, Yokai Watch ebb and flows just like Pokemon ebb and flows. Pokemon has its darker elements, darker series, darker targets, you know, and it also has its more childish elements and childish series, and you know. They both have those things. The only real difference is Yokai has the luxury of being able to experiment way more because it has nothing to lose, you know, it has nothing to lose and everything to gain. Pokemon, on the other hand, is like, okay, let's double down on our successes because that's just what we need to do at this point. Like, we have the most successful game ever made. Like, Pokemon Go was ridiculous, and it would be stupid not to double down on the success of that. That would make no sense. It would be so dumb if they didn't do that.
I want to attack the point of go ahead and buy the same game from 1999. What? Like, these are not the same games from, you know, from back then.
That's why people are crying, because they're not. That's the thing. Like, I don't know. Again, like, I have no problem with people being like, oh, I'd rather play Yokai Watch 4, because I mean, that's why I made the video. That's why I asked that question, which one would you rather play? But the thing that I don't like, and if I found comments that were like that in the other direction, that's like, Pokemon's way better, Yokai Watch blah blah, we'd be talking about those too. But I just don't like that attitude. It's just like, it's dumb. It's dumb to be like, this other thing is so much worse than the thing that I like, and here's why. And I'm gonna gloss over so many like ins and outs of the game because that's not important to my narrative.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy how offended they sound, you know?
Yeah.
Like, how dare you? And how dare there not be any Zelda spin-offs? I'm mad about it. So mad. In fact, I made a video about it. Because Zelda needs some spin-offs. It's due some spin-offs. It has earned the right to try some different stuff. And, you know,
give me Link's Crossbow Training 2. Give me a Zelda Bejeweled clone. give me
a Dr. Mario Zelda version.
Yeah. I definitely want to see more Zelda games. Something that I don't think I pulled that comment, but something that somebody said is that like the reason why Mario has more spin-offs is because Mario is like more it behooves Mario's design more to have spin-offs and stuff like that. Like, Mario is just like, you could put Mario everywhere.
Right.
And it's like, you can put Mario everywhere because they put Mario everywhere. It's not like it's a chicken or the egg sort of situation. It's not like, does a short Italian plumber that can eat mushrooms, and like, does he fit in every situation, or did they make him fit in every situation? I think it's more the latter than the former. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that they could make Link fit in a lot more situations than they do, and they just don't.
Yeah. So like this,
just like Star Fox can fit perfectly in a racing game.
No! I hate you. I hate you. Podcast over. Good night, everybody.
but no, I think as long as the water, as long as the grass is green where you're living, you can water some other grass while you're at it. Like as long as the main series is like tended to. Exactly. Then go out and freaking plant the seeds everywhere.
Is your homework done? That's the main thing. Okay, now you can go outside and you can go outside.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and
let's see if the people in the comments did their homework.
Aced his homework.
You said what you say?
I said in Zelda aced his homework last time around, so it deserves to play a little bit.
Exactly. Let's see if you guys did your homework in the comments here. Let's see. Starting off, Anthony Savage. I want a Zelda maker that has the original Zelda style, Minish Cap style, and Between World style. I want a randomly generated overworld that gets populated with dungeons made by other players. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I would like that.
So I saw Anthony Savage was the first person I saw in the premiere, which is a thing that we're doing. I still don't know exactly what time. I think I'm going to try 4 again next week for both premieres. Just, toying around with it. It's a new feature. So if you want to watch the video live with us, then tune in every Tuesday and Thursday at 4 p.m. just like always. But this time we'll be in the comments talking to you in real time.
I like that feature. It's nice.
Yeah, it's a cool thing. It's something that we don't really get to experience because we don't stream yet. We're gonna start doing that.
It's happening.
But we don't do that yet. So we get the chance to we engage with the community and through this podcast and in the comments anyway because we respond to the comments. But we don't get to engage with them in real time. So it's kind of different.
Right,
it's like a pen pal versus a friend that you text. So yeah, he was there for that, and I think I like the idea of Zelda Maker more than I think I would like it in practice. Because Zelda is a little bit too complicated to trust the masses with, right? I think that there will be a select few that make dope stuff in Zelda Maker. But I don't think the lowest common denominator is going to the average of the player base is going to make good enough things in that toolbox to warrant a full toolkit released at $60 and marketed to everybody, So I don't know about that. Like I said, I like the idea of it though.
Yeah, so you just feel like it's one of those things it sounds good on paper.
Yeah.
But in practice, I don't know.
I think exactly that. And I don't think Zelda is ubiquitous enough to warrant something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think enough people have 2D Zelda nostalgia in the way that because 2D Mario games, right? Every 2D Mario game sells like crazy with the exception of the Wii U ones. But the first one on DS, it sold 20 something million units. Then the second one sold 29 million units. The thing that was funny is that year that New Super Mario Bros. Wii came out, Reggie Fils-Aimé said that it was going to outsell Call of Duty, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're crazy," blah blah. It outsold Call of Duty on every platform.
That's funny.
And no Zelda game will ever outsell Call of Duty, even Breath of the Wild. So it's Zelda is popular in the grand scheme of things, but I don't think it's big enough for something like that, right? I think that Zelda can warrant spin-offs, but not super niche spin-offs. It needs to be within a proven area of these games. If they're not tied to anything, they can sell well, right? In the same way that an open world game, right? You can have a new open world IP, and if it's a good game, chances are it's going to sell like hotcakes. That's not so much so the case with a level creator,
Yeah. True. Albert. Let's see what Albert Palios? I don't know how to say the last name. Sorry. More spin-offs on the Switch? why the 3DS didn't even get its own 3D Zelda game, just remakes. And the Switch, why all the spin-offs? Breath of the Wild is technically a Wii U game ported to the Switch. I think the Switch needs a real, full-blown new Zelda game. Or if not, huge Zelda collection of HD remasters to hold us off.
What? I don't know. I don't know what this guy wants, because it's kind of like, I don't want spin-offs. I'd rather have a big new game, or, I'd be fine with a game that I already played before. I'd be fine with that, but no spin-offs. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, Star Fox, right? Like, would you prefer, if you were given two options, would you rather them give you Star Fox 64 or a Star Fox spin-off?
Star Fox spin-off, 100%.
So it's like, and I
100%.
feel the same way. So it's like, I don't agree with that. And as far as like, why not the 3DS? Because the 3DS is like, why the 3DS? Nobody wants to play that except for the people that don't have Switch.
It's like, let me throw that back at you. Plus, the 3DS has enough stuff already. Like, enough is enough, right? Like, let's. It's great.
Yeah,
it's great. Nobody's here to argue that, but it's just like, come on.
And to be like, somebody can turn that same comment around on Wii U, right? Like, they can say like, Wii U doesn't have its own Zelda game because the only one that it had got ported to Switch. So why not put the next Zelda game on Wii U? It's like, yeah, all right, we're splitting hairs here. It's on Wii. I mean, it's on Switch because Switch is the place to play right now if you're a Nintendo fan. So I don't know what to tell you. As far as spin-offs, there aren't that many spin-offs. Like, there's ports of the Zelda spin-off, which is Hyrule Warriors. Whatever.
Yeah, right.
And that's not a Zelda game in any way.
It's not. The freaking Dynasty Warriors. All right, put a Zelda skin on him, call it a day.
Yeah. It's like, that's like a separate spin-off with a Zelda skin rather than it being like a new take on what Zelda is.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's why I'm not into those kind of games. But anyway, moving on. PJC Link. Just Zelda RPGs that play like Final Fantasy with Zelda elements. Basically, another Hyrule Warriors like spin-off, only with a Final Fantasy based engine and graphic style made by Square Enix, with supervision from Anuma. Just like the Temco and Hyrule Warriors, I'd also like to see a Zelda fighting game in Soul Calibur's type of engine and solid graphics. We haven't seen Link in that engine and type of art style in such a long time, and of course, that game would be made by Namco, again, with supervision from Anuma. I really agreed with you there. Zelda really needs more spin-offs. It'll give us the benefit of actually playing something that's actually new quite more frequently other than just a new 2D game here and there. And rather than mostly just reviewing the old so much, renewing the old so much. We need variety. Basically, more spin-offs, more 2D games, more remakes, more money for Nintendo, and most importantly, more for us to do to keep us tuned in to the franchise while we wait for the next big anticipated 3D game.
Yeah, because those things take forever to make. I don't know about the first thing that he pitched, but as far as the fighting game, like, I think that could be interesting. A lot of people, like, the reason why they bought Soul Calibur on GameCube was because Link was
exactly. And there's so many, let's just face fact. There's so many characters in Zelda that will never touch Smash. Never grace that game. So it's like, you can play with your Midnas and your this version of Zelda, this version. That would just be awesome.
Kirby got his own fighting game. Give Zelda his own. Give Zelda that's the boy his own fighting game.
That'd be awesome. I'd pick that. I'd pre-order. And I don't ever pre-order. Well, besides Smash and stuff like that. But I rarely ever pre-order, but I pre-order that crap. That'd be awesome. Scully T. Am I missing anything? No. Scully T. McGraw. Zelda Online. You can create a character to go save Zelda and work as a team. Have Ganondorf and the boss from Wind Waker. Plus, have the Master Sword shattered into pieces. You got to work as a team to find the pieces to have the Master Sword back to its normal. Back to normal, and it can fit the Breath of the Wild timeline. Have Ganondorf turn into Phantom Ganon after you beat Ganondorf. Plus, it'll make sense. It'll make sense. What? It will make sense after. I guess they messed that up. It'll make sense since after Link wakes up, the church is broken, and why there is less people in Hyrule. Think about it, people. Awesome Zelda MMORPG. I don't know if
I don't know.
I don't know if I like Zelda Online.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with Zelda Online, but I don't know about if I would like a MMORPG, right?
Yeah,
like,
I don't know.
I would have been down for like a co-op multiplayer, like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, see, that's cool. That's cool. But I just feel like that's doing a little bit too much. You know, like for MMORPG, I don't know if I'd find that.
Yeah.
Me personally.
But give me a 2-player game in the engine, I'd be down with that. Somebody play as Zelda, another person play as Link. I'd be down with that.
I need to like see that done well. I feel like a lot of those games are just like a questing for questing. Like I never saw the hype between like World of Warcraft. I just never seen it. I tried to play it a few times, but it's just those games where it's like it's an MMO quest. Turn in the quest some more. Turn in the quest. It's just like I don't like that. I don't like how those are done. So if it was done a different way,
the funny thing is the the only MMO RPG that I want is a Pokemon one, because I think that world works really well with that idea. Right, like the Pokemon, just like think about like the anime, right? Like in the anime, it's like it's nothing like how the games are, where it's like here's the 8 gyms, Brock, and then you go to Misty, and then you go, you know, like it's not like that. It's like here's this town, this region, this country, this world, so on and so forth, and you know that there's endless amounts of gyms. People are opening gyms all over the place. You know, it's like. And there's new gyms that are earning their stripes. You know, it's like the one guy in the first generation, which I remembered because somebody brought him up or tried to bring up me, and I think it was Grimhain even. Somebody brought it up, where it's like AJ's the guy that he left his Charmander in the rain. You know, Ash's Charmander, but AJ is actually a Pokemon gym leader. Who, like, there was this whole like mini arc on one of the episodes that he was earning his certification for his gym. Mm-hmm. So he had to win, I think it was 100 Pokemon battles. And he, like, his Sandshrew was like a freaking like weirdo. Because he made it dive into a pool, and then they were like, oh, that's abuse. Like, he hates that. He's weak to water, you know, it's like that sort of thing. You don't see that side of Pokemon in the Pokemon games where it's like, there's just those 8 gyms and that's it. But I think in an MMORPG where it's like, you know, I'm going to be a Pokemon coordinator and I'm going to be a regular trainer, but I'm not going to the same gym that you went to. I'm going to the grass gym, whereas you went to the fire gym. You know, it's like having more options rather than getting 8 badges out of 8 badges. You get 8 badges out of a possible 30, you know?
Plus that, like that makes sense as far as like you said, it's the world and like that kind of, that game in the series rather just like opens itself up and lends itself to that kind of game as well. Like, you know, when you're playing these, when you're seeing the show, like back in the day, like this world was bustling and full of trainers and full of activity. You know, it wasn't such a just like, you know, you're here, there's NPCs here. You know, it's like, you know, this is an actual, like, this is, you know, this is the era of trainers, and that's what we do. You know, this is what everyone does, and that'd be cool. Actually, I would like to see that. Actually, that'd be awesome. Now I'm actually mad that we're not getting anything like that, but that'd be cool.
Yeah, it's just you gave me an idea. I want to make a video about this.
That'd be cool.
Well, not this specifically, but yeah, I'll talk about it after the podcast.
All right.
And you'll find out about it on Tuesday at 4 p.m.
All right, let's end the premiere. So be sure to check for the premiere, and yeah, we'll get getting with the comments early. Let's go into the Q&A section. See what you guys have to do. As always, guys, ask your questions on Discord. Ask your questions, and then we can answer them and have you pull up here, and you'll feel a part of history because you'll be a part.
Also, Squanto added another way that you can join in on the show that I'm adding because it's a good idea, and he suggested it.
Since I'm early, I have a suggestion. In your Q&A segment, start incorporating comments from the previous Directly to You episodes, like this comment, to have an easy way to distinguish the people's thoughts on what was said last episode. Good idea.
So, you know, leave comments on the podcast. If you watch on podcast services, maybe you should go to YouTube, go to the channel, and then leave a comment on the YouTube video. You know, maybe subscribe while you're at it.
All right. Blake Lindsay says, based on what we know right now and past experiences, are you leaning more toward next-gen Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox. PlayStation is doing a lot of things that I don't really like. As far as like, you know, like their consumer decisions, and like they're looking ominously similar to how they looked in the PlayStation 3 generation, where it's like, oh, our customers will like put another mortgage on their house and like sell their child and stuff to afford a PlayStation 3. It doesn't matter how much we charge for this thing. So, and Xbox on the other hand is like, look, we lost this generation. We heard you. We know what you want. So we're investing a lot of money into making our next generation like exactly what it is that you want. The more exclusives, the big first party games, you know, like the single player experiences and all that good and dear stuff. I really trust Phil Spencer. I think it's powerful to have a leader in a game company that is like unabashedly a gamer, you know, like the whole Satoru Iwata thing. Like it was like the reason why he was so like popular in the Nintendo community is because like whenever he's like, yeah, you know, I beat Reggie in Smash Brothers or whatever, like you believe that stuff because he like it's very clear that he's a gamer, and not only that, but obviously he was a game developer and stuff like that, and that applies to Phil Spencer too. He was also a game developer, so like he knew how the sausage is made. Like he worked his way up from like, you know, making the games to now selling the games at the biggest part of that division of Microsoft. So it's like, I don't know, Microsoft just has the chess pieces in the right places, in the right place for me to lean more towards that. That's not to say I'm not going to get a PlayStation. I always get all three anyway.
Yeah, I haven't really been thinking about those. Honestly, I've just been too focused on Switch, and it sounds so cheesy me saying that, but honestly, it's the truth. I haven't really been putting too much thought in either of those. But
have you bought a game for them recently?
No, I've not.
So, like, what's the last game that you bought for your PlayStation or Xbox? Monster Hunter?
Monster Hunter for the Xbox, and then Detroit Become Human for the PS4. Yeah. And then after that, I just... No, I lie. I'm sorry. I lie. Spider-Man. I lie.
Oh, I didn't even know you bought that.
Yeah, I lie. Well, how did I forget?
We didn't even talk about that. How do you like Spider-Man?
How did I forget? No. Spider-Man is freaking amazing. It's fantastic. I do like Spider-Man. I completely forgot about that. But yeah, how
dare you?
I don't know. It just slipped my mind.
And as far, we do play those whenever the desire appears. Like I'm planning on getting Red Dead. After seeing
very true.
The trailers for that.
Very true.
What are we doing? Are we doing PlayStation for that? Since they have Red Dead Online, is that PlayStation or Xbox? I kind of want to do Xbox, but I know Bob's probably going to do PlayStation. So I feel like I need to go where the most people are going to go. We need to coordinate so everybody's on the same thing.
Yeah, we can go PlayStation with that. That'd be cool.
So yeah, maybe we'll stream it. We'll stream it. Probably. I don't know. Let us know if you want to see that in the comments down below.
It's funny you brought up streaming because Ryan brought up streaming. I'm so stoked to see what you're going to stream, AJ. What's your schedule going to be like? Fingers crossed for Monday because I already watch Wolf Den 4 nights a week.
As far as days, I don't know. And really it depends on like how much I stream and how long I stream and on what days I stream. Really depends on Logan in a lot of ways, because like I'm gonna stream longer if it's me and Logan versus
right.
if it's just me. I'm not gonna want to like stream as long because I don't like. It's more exhausting to like keep the show keep the show going on your own, right?
Right.
So like I'll probably do like 1 to 3 hour streams if I end up doing it by myself, but who knows? Maybe we'll do significantly longer than that if it's both of us. It might be less days a week, but it'll net out to being longer if we stream together.
We could do Wednesday, just because like at that point, like if your video's done, it's not like we have to like go back into as far as you do your video Tuesday, that's up, and then to have to stream on top of that like the same day, that'd be kind of messed up. Unless you,
but they were in the territory of your video.
Yeah, true. We'll think about it. We'll put it together.
We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off the podcast.
Then we'll let you guys know what we come up with.
Unless let us know if you want to hear us talk about it. and then we'll reenact the discussion.
Yeah. Next Saturday, One Peso says, do you guys think that 2018 was a disappointment? argument holds any weight.
No. I talked about this a couple of times where it's like, I think it's unfair for people to act like this year was bad. This year, like, objectively, and like, I mean, like, looking from the viewpoint of like what actually came out this year was a phenomenal year, right? I think that a lot of people look at the fact that it's like, oh, well, this came out on this platform in this year. Did you play it? No, I didn't play it. But the fact that it came out, like, I don't want to play that. It came out elsewhere. I think that's stupid. Because me, again, and I'm sure you, some people that always have all three, like, current gen consoles. I missed a ton of the games that came out this year, including Nintendo games. So it's like the fact that and there's other games like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze and stuff like that it's like just so good that I will want to play again and want to play portable and all that stuff. So I think that the year was really good. It just was good in a different way because Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, right? Like, they came out and they were phenomenal and they're like great new experiences, but that was 2 flashes in a pan versus like a consistent like release schedule of games that's like, while some of them I may have played before or some of them I might have been able to play before and opted not to for whatever reason, now they're here again and they're giving me another reason to jump in and play through it. Yeah, in a lot of cases in a better or different way. Yeah,
I mean, in the perspective of Switch, like you said, we had 2017 was phenomenal with the two releases that were, you know, the major juggernauts those years, and, you know, that year, and 2019 didn't have 2018 didn't have those kind of releases, but we did get the sprinkles of, you know, the Mario Tennis Aces, and then the you know, Super Mario Party, and there's so many other things, Celeste, and so many other things that came out this year that, you know. Also,
the fact that we're getting Smash Brothers still,
right? Smash still,
and regardless of how people want to feel about it, we're getting Pokemon Let's Go. So it's like we're getting a Pokemon game and a Smash Brothers game in the same year. That's huge,
right? Exactly.
So,
yeah, I think. It's overall. I'd give it a good rating. It wasn't disappointing at all.
I stand by what I said in my video, where it's like, I think that this year is better than last year was. I enjoyed and appreciated Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey, but those were 2 parts of a larger picture. I think the larger picture of 2018 is more impressive than the larger picture of 2017. And you're welcome to feel different.
That cyber guy, Dan, says,
ew.
If AJ and I fought in Smash Bros, who would win? A, me. B, Dan. C, AJ because he cheated. How about the option that's not listed on here? D, because he's better. No, but
yeah, don't get bobbed out here. Don't get bobbed out here, Dan.
Yeah,
you might get bobbed.
Is what's Dan's like history with Smash? Has he
I don't know. This is the first that this rivalry has poked out its ugly head. I guess, I don't know. Maybe Dan's trying to start another flame war. A lot of people are challenging me, especially after the Bob situation. People are like, "Oh, well, now I got to challenge AJ. Now I got to fight everybody."
I'm not exactly sure because I mean, you and I are pretty close, and it's like if you know. I don't know. I don't want to sound. I doubt it. I doubt it. You know, he might be really good though, but we'll see.
I don't know. I've never seen anything.
This come out of nowhere. I'm like, okay.
And exactly, yeah. Just from my experience with Bob, I don't know about it. Because like with Bob, right? It's like even after playing him in Melee, I still didn't really know, right? Like I didn't know how good he was in the game. Like I didn't think he was good. Like particularly, I didn't think he was bad, but I also didn't think he was good.
You didn't have enough data. You didn't have enough data to gauge. Like I don't know. I can't really say right now. I don't have enough.
Right. It's like he knows how to hold the controller. It's like that. That's pretty much all I gained from that experience. Yeah. But after playing him and then just coming into it from like as well as I could, having not touched Smash Brothers in literal years. I haven't played Smash Brothers in 2 years prior to when I played that with him, and he still got 2 stocked 4 times in a row. Right. So I don't know. Especially if it's like post-launch. If it's post-launch and we play like, you know, like we're both like, because we're both Nintendo ambassadors. If we both get, you know, like Nintendo provided products and we're both practicing, I don't know, Dan, it might be a problem for you. I'm not sure. But we'll find out.
Yeah. Get your tickets.
Next episode.
Get your tickets. Get your tickets right now.
Magazine.
Get your tickets right now. K-Bop says, what do you think about possible future animes similar to what they did with Castlevania, for example, The Legend of Zelda or Fire Emblem anime done in the style of Studio Ghibli? I think that would be awesome.
I've wanted that for a very long time. And the Smash Brothers Wii U and 3DS like tease, like, you know, like the lead up to that, there was a lot of moments of like, why do we not have that?
Those always irritated me.
Like with the Kid Icarus, like Palutena announcement trailer, that sort of thing. It's like,
that looks
why
so
is this
good
not
too.
a thing?
That looks so good. That looks so good. Smash Bros. Anime, make it happen.
No, just like make all of the things and then make it like a, you know, like a Marvel Cinematic Universe situation. That's what Smash Brothers is. Like Smash Brothers is like the culmination of all the storylines intertwining, you know, like that sort of thing. Like, you know, Subspace Emissary, but an anime.
Good point. Freaking
I'd be down with that.
Print it. Freaking put it out there. That'd be awesome. Grimmane says, Logan touched on why Zelda is deserving of spin-offs. What other IP, Nintendo or third party, but one which is on Nintendo platforms, should get spin-offs, if any? This is going to require.
So are we saying like that don't already get them? Is that what we're talking about here? Because I already said Pokemon. I want more Pokemon. I want a Pokemon MMORPG.
I'll just say like because I mean I guess in terms of like just the Zelda video, I guess like what series don't get any, and this is going to require me to do some thinking because I'm trying to think about.
All right, while you think, I'm going to talk about the spin-offs that I want. I want more Luigi spin-offs.
Hey,
I want more Luigi games. It's unfair that Yoshi has more games than Luigi does. That doesn't make any sense at all. So I want more Luigi spin-offs.
They don't respect
and
him.
not like Dr. Luigi, not stuff like that. I mean like his own thing. More Luigi's Mansion style, like this is like a new game format for Nintendo, like that sort of situation.
Yeah.
Give me Luigi's Camping.
Oh my goodness. Luigi's Camping. That'd be funny.
Give me more Luigi. Outside of that,
and more. You know what? You don't need spin-offs. You know who needs a regular game? Waluigi. Give Waluigi.
Oh my god!
A spin-off that will lead
Some
to a
people.
mainline
Somebody
game.
said they want a Waluigi dating simulator.
Oh my god! Wow.
That's just an abomination. I want. And me and Justin talked about this a lot, where it's like a F-Zero like beat 'em up. But rather than a beat 'em up, I don't want to beat 'em up. I want like a Grand Theft Auto like F-Zero. Like, give me one of those.
All right,
but not like, you know, like obviously not like a rated M like crazy like Grand Theft Auto style Grand Theft Auto, but like just like that formatted game, like sandbox, like driving and walking and shooting and whatever, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think. Warrior was a lot. Freaking Earthbound spin-off. Let's get more Earthbound spin-offs. Let's do that.
How mad would people be if not only have we not gotten a new Mother game, but we can't even get the old one? If they're like, here's a Mother spin-off, it's Mother's Chess, you know? It's like that sort of situations. Like,
like, gee, thanks a lot.
That would cause a riot if they did that.
Yeah, it would.
Like, I know you wanted a Mother 3, but here's Mother Pinball.
Grimmane comes back again and says, I may be missing something somewhat, but Yokai Watch's battle system looks more like, say, Monster Hunter or Breath of the Wild rather than a traditional turn-based system in Pokemon. Do you think this system in particular should be revised for 2019 Pokemon game, given that some of the complexities behind a live-action game are essentially trivial on consoles? Also, this turn-based system really feels like a limitation of the Game Boy that we've been dealing with ever since. Even though the Game Boy probably could have been managed it, since there were plenty of real-time games. I suspect that this was one of the reasons TPC opted to turn-based. That and the younger audience of the franchise, I feel like neither of those limitations in the modern gaming world. If either was really given a real issue in the past, or if it was one imposed by the we know what's good for you mentality of the company. Sorry, Logan, for the long question/statement. Sip some water. I don't have any near me, so I'm suffering. No, but
I don't know if you're asking if the yokai battle system overall is like that, because it's not. That's just Yokai Watch 4 made a change to that. And yes, 100%, I think that Pokemon needs to adapt something closer to that. And I do agree with the fact that, I mean, I even think on handheld it's trivial and annoying and monotonous. But definitely on console, a turn-based system, it feels cheap on console for sure. To me, in my opinion. So yeah, I would be down for that. And it does seem like a thing of like it's a limitation of the medium, because even in places where they translate the game directly and they say this is what the game is supposed to look like, in no way does it translate to the experience of the Pokemon games 1-to-1, you know, like, or even close to that.
Yeah.
Where you see the Pokemon Origins like opener, right, where it's like they pull out the Game Boy and that whole like cutscene or whatever of Gengar versus Nidorino, or yes, a Nidorino. It's not a Nidoran. Those two battling or whatever, right? Like they're not just like standing there. It's like, oh, I'm using Horn Attack, and then he's waiting. He's like, okay, I use Shadow Ball. You know, like it's like this like fluid. You know, like
right, exactly.
Not tit for tat battle. It's a fight. You know,
yeah, right.
So the fact that they have this in their minds, and that's what they think in their minds when they're thinking of Pokemon. The fact that we have the tech now and the hardware now that's capable of like translating that experience to play, like gameplay, I think they should pursue it.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Like I said, it's more, you know, it's a necessary. I mean, I'm not gonna say necessary, but it'd be a nice change. It'd be definitely a nice change. Switch has, you know, we've seen so many things happen as far as like these changes being made to other games, and Pokemon is, you know, due for, you know, something like that. And I think Let's Go is already shifting. You know, we're getting something new with this, and for 2019 Pokemon to incorporate even a new battle system, that'd be cool too. And I'd freaking be behind this 100%. I seen so many people like that are commenting, oh, we don't. That'd be just like Pokken, blah blah blah.
Yeah, so you just quit. No comment.
But that's all we got for this week, guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening. Appreciate it.
Goodbye.
Bye.